I'm Nathan Krotzer with Remax, and today I am going to be talking with Jeremy Young. He's a member of Wrightsville, Historic Wrightsville Inc. They have a lot to offer our community on what our history is here, and we recently unveiled that we had a listing coming soon in Wrightsville, 224 Orange Street in Wrightsville. And it is formerly the African Methodist Episcopal Church. It's a really neat property. The owners, John and Heather, brought me into the home when it was just a shell and had visions for it, and it is beautiful. They've done a great job renovating it. Stay tuned until the end. I'm going to bring up pictures and the virtual tour, and I'm going to provide a link to you so that you can look at that at your leisure. It will be available tomorrow. Oh, hey, Reagan, we have some faithful watchers here. Thanks for joining us, Kayla and Reagan. Appreciate it. So, anyways, without further ado, let's bring on Jeremy Young. All right, there we are. Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Appreciate you joining us here today. I know it's your day off. You're a teacher, and you committed at least an hour or so of your time to us. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
So Jeremy and I have done a live interview together before through I Love Eastern York. So if you haven't checked out that page, it's a great page. We have those interviews. They're also on YouTube. Maybe when we get a chance, we can throw some of those links into the chat. But I would like to just invite our guests. If you have questions, throw them into the chat. We'll try to accommodate them. Jeremy, since I listed the home as coming soon, I've had a lot of people reaching out to me and just asking me questions about it. Even other agents don't usually remark on what my new listings are. I've had a few agents reach out to me, and we had a celebration here the Tuesday before Thanksgiving where we celebrate our clients who transacted with us in the past year and those who referred us. And I can't tell you how many times someone said to me like, "Oh, I saw the old church that you had listed. It's beautiful." So it's definitely a home of interest, and we're hoping that, and I know you do, Jeremy, that you have some information to share. I think people want to know about its history. So I'm going to let you have the stage. What does historic Wrightsville know about the African Methodist Episcopal Church in Wrightsville?
Well, there's a lot of history, and I have to say there's going to be some mystery as well, because a lot of our history comes to us through families that have passed it on. And we have some history here for this. And I know that there could be some questions, and I may have to say that's one of history's mysteries for now until the puzzle piece is found. But before the building itself was built in 1891, we sort of have to follow the congregation in time because there's a lot of interesting facts with that. So in the early 1800s, Wrightsville had around 100 African American families living in town and nearby, and they were looking for places to worship. And at
Do you
first,
think Wrightsville, Columbia, Hellam, like where do we know like from how far this? Because I mean, to my knowledge, I don't know that there is an AME church nearby. Am I correct?
I agree with you. I know York had some involvement. The city of York, which is far. Columbia, I am not 100% sure, and it would have. You're talking the bridges would have been there. It would have been quite a walk or quite travel to get across the bridge. So my guess is
Okay.
saying Wrightsville and south and west, but I can't say that somebody from Columbia wouldn't come over.
Okay.
Columbia at the time was a much larger industrial town than Wrightsville.
Right.
So I'm
Okay.
thinking they may have had some things of their own there.
Gotcha. I'm
But
sorry. Continue.
no, you're great. This is great. So we do know from hearsay that there were services conducted in people's homes, and
And that's how it
there was
started, right?
That's how it all started. And I think one of the things, there was even a hotel on Front Street, the Omita, I think is what it is here. The
How do you
Omits
spell that?
Hotel. OHMITS Hotel at 316 Front Street. And these
316.
there's no written record of them. So this is all passed down through mouth or what people knew or somebody told. We do know that in 1830-ish there were some Sunday school or some church services held, and in 1848 Sam Smith from the Presbyterian Church was holding Sunday school for the African American community.
Was Sam Smith, is he African American or
I
is he
do not
white?
think so.
Okay.
I mean, he was from the Presbyterian Church, white, and he was the first. And I could be corrected on that, and I can look that up. So I'm not going to say if he was white or black. I'd have to look that up.
Okay.
Um, the first recorded minutes of that we know of with an African American congregation came in January 4th, 1854. That's the
So,
first
so
record
that's the
recorded minutes
first,
of service. Yeah,
that's
of the
the
service.
first we think that there, at least that we can, substantiate that
Yes.
1850s was when the church began. Okay.
Yes. Before that was more in hearsay. While that was happening, there was the African Methodist Episcopal Church movement happening in Philadelphia, and the Wrightsville community decided to join. African American community decided to join in. And what I do know, and I'm apologizing for reading because it's some dates and
That's
addresses
okay.
to mix up for you. There was a lot bought at 128 Maple Street, and that served as one church, one place of worship. Then, as the congregation grew, it moved to 212, 214 Orange Street. So there was an
Is
African
adjacent
American.
to where we're talking about.
Yes. And what's really cool there is we know that there was an African American public school in the basement of that
Okay, and
church.
am I correct then? What's there today were homes that were built after the church was there.
Yeah.
There was a structure there that no longer exists.
And
But
there's some cloudiness as to what happened to that structure. I did
hmm
read, but I didn't read far enough into that structure to say that there was rumor of a fire at one of the structures.
Okay.
So I'd have to go back and check into what happened to the structure that was currently or was there, not currently there.
Right.
So we do know that around 1890, though, that old building was condemned. And in
The one
1890,
on Orange Street or the one
the
on
one at
Maple?
212 Orange Street, yeah.
The one on Maple, we were talking about this a little bit before we went live. We think that, I mean, that's where I mean, presently there is a structure there and the Boy Scouts use that presently, correct?
Yes, and we have that listed as Mount Pisgah AME, or that
Okay.
was it's one of the churches there. And I do know that at one point, there a group did break off from which we're calling this the church that John and Heather have renovated, Bethel AME Church.
Okay, I saw that on some of the literature they provided. So are you saying that the church in Wrightsville split into two?
There was a group that just went off and had a second, and that we have one account of that written down, that there was a group that went off and had a second church.
Hmm. Church politics, I guess.
Yes, yes. And now that building, and I think a lot of people locally call it the Stone Church because of the stone
Okay.
building, and the Brick Church.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jeremy, does
Yes,
that church also, isn't there a um, cemetery at the Maple that they had used the
yes,
So a
yes.
lot of the members from the AME church were buried there.
Yep. And I
Okay.
do know that I remember like just hearing stories from people, and this is just I'm sharing stories. I can't necessarily have like I found this and this is a
Right.
necessary fact, but I can remember people telling stories of seeing the funerals at the church, because and the lying in wake. I remember people like sneaking in or like sneaking by and watching. I've heard stories of it, and that would be at the Mount Pitt, the stone one where the Boy Scouts meet.
So I don't know if you know the answer to this. How, I mean, that cemetery, am I correct that that was dedicated to the church members of the AME?
I don't. I can tell you right now. I'm glad I
Because
pulled.
we I mean I've always we always hear it, being called like the African American cemetery. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
exclusive. And I'm just wondering how
Well,
many are buried there. Like, does that give us an idea of the size of the congregation? And maybe you have more information on that. I know on the discussion when we posted the coming soon listing, Lisa Burke had chimed in, and she said that she thinks that maybe at one time it was 25 members. What do you know about that?
are you talking now the Stone Church, the one, the Bethel Church, or are
Uh,
you talking
I'm
about the?
talking. Well, I was assuming they started there, right? I mean, they all started there.
Yeah, they did start. They went back. I know that there were some. The last thing I had here was at the when it was large on 212, the building that no longer exists was
Hmm.
95 members, and that 95
95.
seemed to
Wow.
carry over to the present building.
Wow. Okay. And that
I'm
was
just
pro
double checking my facts here. Go ahead.
that's okay. And while you're double checking your facts, if you're just joining us, a number of things. This is Jeremy Young with Historic Wrightsville, and we're talking about a property at 224 Orange Street, which we do have coming for sale. It's coming soon right now. And wait until the end. I'm going to show pictures. I'm going to show the 3D tour, and we're going to give you a link that you can navigate that on your own. Will be active tomorrow, ready to be shown. Serious buyers only. Yeah, hang tight and we'll get that information to you. And you overheard a voice that was Sue, who's producing the show. Um, Thank you, Sue, for what you're doing. And Jeremy, did you get a chance to check your facts?
I found when we're talking about the congregation and the church that would have been across the street from the brick church today,
Hmm.
that the Sunday school had a flourishing membership of 50 pupils.
Okay.
So that would have been that like late 1800s church across the street that when that building was condemned in 1890, they built the brick church, which is the church we see today that John and Heather
Okay.
did an amazing job with.
Yeah. Okay.
So that
That
church, and we have a big gap. I know this is a huge gap, but the next date that I really have, unfortunately, is when they abandoned services at the church. And that was in December of 1962. They finally abandoned services because there were only 4 members left.
wow. They toughed it out
And
till 4.
yeah, they did. And some of the members some names, and I do think that some people still may have memory. I know my dad has memory of some of the names here: Mrs. Blanche Barton, Mrs. Mary Bear Reed, Mrs. Alberta Bear, and Mrs. Sylvia Randolph.
Is that Bear? How do you spell Bear?
B, wait, this is a Bear.
Bear. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be very interesting. I mean, I don't know if they're descendants. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I wouldn't know how to identify that, or if they moved elsewhere. But I mean, you said most of your history has been, word of mouth passed down. Would love. I'm sure you would love, and
We
just for
would.
my own entertainment value, I would love to hear if anybody, has history that has been passed down to them. So if you know anybody that may have relation, if you want to read other names, I think that might be interesting, Jeremy.
Yeah, and I'll look through here. I do want to share, you were talking about that, and we're getting into that family time of holiday season. We just had
Yeah, perfect
Thanksgiving,
timing.
spend it with family. You know, ask those questions. Ask the questions of your elders, because we've noticed when generations move on and they die, which is part of the course, the history goes with them,
Yeah.
and we can't retrieve that kind of history. So even the smallest tidbits of information, it's so helpful. And in a situation like this, we have some pictures, but you're also talking about a time period in history. We were a small industry town. There wasn't a ton of money going through that part of town like it would have been in other areas. Like this wasn't a part of the town that was benefiting from the industrial age. They were the workforce. And
Hmm.
so, and again, probably not a lot of money going through there. So they wouldn't have had as many objects and things that would have stayed in homes. So where we see, like, for example, when I look in our boxes here, the Lutheran Church, I have volumes on, like, there's just so many artifacts to look at. But I am sort of excited to share. We do have one artifact, and to my knowledge, I'm not sure who has this on loan. So I have a hint of who is loaning this to us, but I don't want to say it because I'm not sure. We do have
And
a
maybe they'll
community.
forget and you can just keep it. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
maybe but we do have a communion set that says Wrightsville ME Church 1891. Let me go over here.
Oh, cool. Hey, Sue, can you cut to just a Jeremy shot so maybe they can see it a little better? Okay.
And I also have the
What are we
chalice.
looking at? What is that? What are we holding there?
My
Is that
guess is
is
a
that
communion
wine?
set.
Communion wine?
We
Okay,
would
yeah.
have gone in and poured into the chalice.
Okay, yep. Gotcha.
And outside of maybe a photograph, this is really all we have in archives that isn't just copied from a paper someone's written or shared with us. And all of these things are great. I'm not downing anything we have, but it's just that stuff's there. So I will put my plug in for Historic Wrightsville.
Please
If you're
do.
ever rooting through the attics and you find these cool Wrightsville things, we would love to see them. We would love, love, love to see them. It helps us put together the puzzles.
Yeah.
And I sometimes, Lisa Burke, the historian, and I talk about Wrightsville being a tapestry and all these colorful threads woven to create the tapestry of our town and community. And the more we know, the richer that tapestry becomes.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, that I mean, I'm sure people just, you know, pass right by some of that stuff and don't know what they're looking at. So please, if you see something that may have some significance or importance, uh, contact Historic Wrightsville. Um, Sue, maybe you could put, and what's the best way for someone to reach out? You guys have a website? I know you have a Facebook page, although I know there's some confusion there, right?
We have
There's
a
like a
Facebook
couple
page.
pages.
Yeah,
Okay,
our Facebook page is Historic Wrightsville Incorporated, all spelled out.
spell that out.
We are here Sundays 1 to 4. There are Wednesday hours, and I can look out the window in a second if you want to show it to us on a Wednesday. I'm never here Wednesday through the day. I'm in kindergarten land then. And but or just reach out. We'd love to hear the stories. We'd love to see things if we can copy. If you don't know what to do with it, like just talk to us. We would love to know, because these are what's tucked away in grandma's attic sometimes, and put some puzzle pieces together that we never expected that would fit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have anything else that you can share with us, Jeremy? I think I kind of derailed you a little bit.
No, that's okay. I pretty much got what I ever shared, what I do know. I somewhere I know that you had talked about the cemetery, and
Mm-hmm.
I do know that here in one of the files, and I want to say it's the Bear last name. There is a newspaper article of the descendants, the Bear descendants, at the cemetery, and
Okay.
I will work on pull. I don't know if I can pull it out right now. I'm going to look right now while maybe you're showing the house or whatever you're doing
Okay.
and see what I can do.
Now I have an article that I pulled up here. Um, I guess it went. I can probably supply a link if someone wants to see it. I pulled up some of the like there's some names here that I saw, and you might have said some of these. James Shorter. It says that the brick church was erected and dedicated in July by Reverend Levin. Is it
Yes,
Levin?
and Reverend Levin Lee and James Shorter.
Yep. Okay. So I see James Shorter, James Body, Boddy. Like it's just kind of interesting. Like I don't see these names around here, and it's like, okay, what happened? And then there's,
Well,
other pastors.
either I
Go ahead.
have a list of pastors here, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to shoot off some last names. And
You.
we have Dort, Wilsham, Grimes, Taylor, Buckner, Buckley, Hill, West, Bryce, Murray, Jones, Satchel, Wright, King, Brown, Spivey. I think that's an E. Welson, Banks, McCrae, Cooper, Gant, and Patterson. And when I was reading some of the history, I think the reason some of these names are not Wrightsville names is that, like in modern times, pastors move,
Yeah.
and the first pastors were actually the first pastors were actually traveling. The first
Okay.
pastors, I've seen if I have names here for them, but they were actually traveling pastors. So they were stopping in town, then they might go to the next area that has a congregation, and then they'd swing back around. So
You had
I think that's
mentioned,
why we see so many names that aren't Wrightsville names.
right. Yeah, I see. You had mentioned the name. Did you say Grimes? Like Grimes?
Yes, like, and I went. My mind went to like
Vonnie
Grimes.
Grimes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we had the pleasure of working with Vonnie Grimes' daughter this past year. So I'll have to reach out to her and see if that has any if that name has any significance. I'll have to get from you what if you gave a first name. I'd like to get that.
No, I only have Grimes, but I only have it as a last name. But I'll check through the other things. And I
Okay.
mentioned to you earlier on, I'm sort of sharing, but I don't know exactly where this is going. I do know that we had a historian here this week that was asking questions about the the churches here in Wrightsville as well. Randy Harris was here, and he's a very notable local historian. So he was checking in as well. It's very interesting that both were happening. You're selling the house, he's
Yeah.
checking in all at the same time.
So was his I mean, has he engaged with Historic Wrightsville in the past regarding the church, or is this all fresh?
We've talked with Randy Grimes about many things in the past. I know that he was very active with the Mifflin House discussion, which isn't really a
Okay.
historic Wrightsville, that's a Pelham Township, but he was here
Right.
for that. And my mind right now is saying very involved with the Underground Railroad.
Okay.
Now, when
I
I
wonder
look
if
through,
he
go
go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I just wonder, like, because we did get some attention, and we shared the post in the what's that Facebook page? See, you might have to bail me out on this.
Retro
It,
York.
yeah, I think it's Retro York. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's Retro York. So we had received some attention, and I think everybody can stay tuned if they publish something. The York Daily Record reached out to us, and Paul Cannell reached out and took some pictures. So there may be a story coming there too. So let's see, Day McNatt, thanks for joining us, Day. In 1936, the Stone Church was the home of the Assembly of God Church, known then as the Pentecostal Church. We were told we sold it to the Boy Scouts for $1. Ah, okay. I wonder how we acquired it from the AME Church. That is interesting. Thanks for sharing, Day. That is very interesting. So, for those who don't know, Day McNatt, her husband Aaron, Pastor Aaron, is the pastor of the Assembly of God Church between Orange and Maple. So thanks for sharing that. Okay. So I don't know where I was at in my thought before that, but that looked important to
Yeah.
discuss. But I was just curious. I think if Randy, you said if Randy
Yes.
had become aware of it, maybe he hadn't become aware of it, but kind of reintroduced to it from some of the buzz that was happening here recently. So we've had a lot of people talking about it, that's for sure.
And I
So
and I was not here for the Randy thing, so I'm not sure if he heard or not through that. But I probably can find out and shoot you a message
it
later.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It'd be nice to brag to my
Yeah.
clients that my marketing is getting attention. But anyways, so Jeremy, do you have anything else you'd like to share? And I want to invite, I mean, share as an audience, share what you wish, like Day just did. If you have questions that Jeremy may be able to answer or try to answer, would love to have audience participation there. I had asked because John and Heather had provided to me um, an article entitled "Our Take: A Memorial to a Black Civil War Hero," and we had discussed that a little bit, but there's no known connection to the church. It just kind of theorized that, well, local African American likely attended, at least one of the two churches, right, Jeremy?
And that's we don't like to make generalizations. It's not our favorite thing to do. When you're working with history, you do like to have documents and facts, even if it's an oral history. But we mentioned the Underground Railroad. I mean, we have no proof of anything. And I am not connecting that church to the Underground Railroad. That is not what I'm doing. But when you stop to think of the time period, you're talking there's an African American population here in Wrightsville. We're also talking during the Underground Railroad, York to Lancaster that was a significant journey crossing that river.
Hmm.
So yes, I can't say that, oh, they stopped at this place or they stopped here. But when you look at things like you had said, the Civil War, the guy from the Civil War, well, there is a chance he was a member of the congregation, because that's what was happening nationally at the time. We were fighting a civil war. He lived here. Could he possibly have gone to one of the Black African American churches here? Yeah, he could have. I don't have documentation, but it's not really, I mean, I'm not going to publicize it, but it's something that makes perfect sense. It could
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Well, excellent. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to share or add, Jeremy?
I'm good. I think I have everything I could. If anyone has questions, feel free. I can't promise I'll have an answer, but I'll try.
Okay. Well, that's awesome of you. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I'm gonna cut now, or Sue will cut us to the pictures here. I have to hit a share screen, and now you're seeing something wonky. So there is a link to um, this site. And as you can see here, we have a 3D tour just to kind of um, let you see how it works. You simply just click around and you can take a tour. Right now, we're on the upper level, excuse me, of the church. These stained glass windows are actually from the church. At least I don't know if they're original, but they were a part of the church when John and Heather acquired it. They actually, I think there were more than this, but these were salvageable, and they moved these to the front of the home. Uh, these pews here actually are not from the church. They're actually taken from, or they were purchased from a church in Lancaster City. These floors are original. They kept these. Uh, Oops, I jumped down to the staircase. But you can see here, they've beautifully remodeled it. Up here, you have just this big open space, which I think screams entertainment. Uh, what couldn't you do here? You got this big open space here. They've got it nicely decorated for Christmas. They have a little living area here. Of course, there's a bathroom for your guests. And how cool is this bar area back here? It is a wet bar. So perfect party spot. Thinking these two bedrooms here. If you're getting dizzy, my apologies, but these bedrooms here, great for overnight guests or if you need the bedroom space. But the master's on the first floor. I'm going to duck back down to the downstairs. I don't know if anybody's giving me feedback. I don't know if Julie Kostenbauer, thanks for joining us. I don't know if the wow is for what Jeremy was saying, or if you're looking at the pictures here. If I'm going too fast or making anybody sick, I know my mother gets like seasick or motion sickness when I post this. We couldn't help but have the cute little dog here in the picture. They could not salvage the flooring here, but what I think is really cool, you can see here, this door is original, and then the original threshold, I'll come back to the kitchen, to enter the church is right here. These are the doors that you would enter the church. They said they wanted to keep them. They took them. They took them and made it the threshold into the master bedroom. He has a picture here of now I can't remember. I'm gonna have to zoom in. Oops, I gotta get back there. I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in here. They found this marking here. It says 1897 Minnick. So the name Minnick was involved in the construction. But as you can see here, Master Suite has the washer dryer, access to the patio. You have the bedroom with closet and armoire here, and then open floor plan into what I would say luxurious bathroom. Very long, I believe that's granite double sink, dual shower head, and then I'll move back out to the front here, where you have an open floor plan as well with the living room open. You do have a full bath right there as well, and then the kitchen. These are the pews again. These are actual stay. The ones upstairs will not, but these can stay. They're from a church in Lancaster. So all the pictures are here. They'll be redundant for me to go back through these pictures, but help yourselves navigate through that. Enjoy. If you know anybody that has an interest in purchasing a property such as this, share it with them. And I think too, Jeremy would welcome, and the rest of Historic Wrightsville would welcome if you have any information on the church or Wrightsville in general. I'm going to switch back so you can see me. That would make sense right now, wouldn't it? Do share it with Historic Wrightsville. So, Producer Sue, anything I'm missing? Oh, we're active. It's active tomorrow. That'd be important to know. 495,000, and it will be active tomorrow, ready to show. So we're excited to introduce it to the market. We have a showing or two lined up. And I appreciate everybody who watched. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all who participated. Jolie, Nicole, thanks for watching. Teresa, Day, Hannah, thanks for watching. And Kayla, I'm missing anybody? Hopefully not. Dave, Uncle Dave, thanks for watching. So, and Martha, that's my mother. So I agree, Teresa, the home is amazing. All right, so the church was so run down. It was a shell, Teresa. When I first saw it, which was a few years ago, it was a shell. It was, I mean, nothing that I would think is habitable. So I saw a huge transformation myself. So yeah, thank you. All right.
I have a question for Jeremy.
Okay.
So Jeremy, as a member of Historic Wrightsville, you know, when people do buy historic properties like this and do the remodels, I mean, is that a value do you like to see that as a member of Historic Wrightsville? Or
I mean, I think it's interesting you say this. I live in a historic home, and there are different ways of approaching it. Some people want truly authentic, don't change it, don't do anything to it. But at the same token, a friend of mine often tells me, you can't live in a museum. You know, you have to upgrade. And you know, Nathan, you said, I remember walking my dog by this building, and I mean, if I would have just stopped because of the stained glass windows, I would have really just kept walking, because there was nothing. It was run down, like Teresa said, it was completely run down. So when you take a bit, when John and Heather took that and did what they did, I'm sure that some purist somewhere is going to have something to say. But for me personally, thank you. I mean, that is
Yeah,
a
agreed.
gorgeous home. And they really tried to incorporate everything they could
They
back
did.
into it. the
Yep.
doors, the windows. And I'm sure it could have been easy to say, I have a pile of stained glass. What am I going to do? Toss it, or sell off the windows to put new windows in. John and Heather chose not to do that. So for me personally, what they've kept, and when you walk past it, what you can see just from the street alone, they saved a lot of Wrightsville history, and I personally am grateful. I am grateful
Yeah.
for them
It's
doing that.
interesting. I know Heather had said that when they originally bought the home, that their intentions were to keep all the stained glass windows, and it's such a dying art. I believe that
Mhm.
the lady that they reached out to in order to replace all the stained glass windows would have been like 60 grand. So, but tastefully done.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were salvaged what they could within means. I mean, you can get a little crazy, but thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you,
Yeah, they
Jeremy.
they they honored the history for sure. So if I know John and Heather aren't on social media, but somehow they're watching. I know they are. So thank you, John and Heather, for that. So all right. So I'll just make one. I just want to make one last pitch since I'm a salesman, right? If you're watching this and you don't know anything about Wrightsville, this maybe has given you a little flavor. It's a great small town. I've known Jeremy for a long time. He's friends with my sister, is friends with my sister, and it's just a great small town. We're right on the Susquehanna River. There's an awesome picture. I should probably show that, but you can navigate to it yourself. Awesome picture of how close it is to the river. And we've got a lot of great amenities here in town. We have our own grocer. We have places to eat. I love like John Wright Restaurant right on the river. You've got a golf course. I don't golf, but if you've got a golf course just on the outskirts of town, if you like to boat or any type of river recreation, there's public boat ramps, and you've got Long Level right down the road. So awesome town. Can't say enough about it. I grew up here. I love it. So. That concludes, unless anybody has anything else they'd like to add or any final questions, but seeing none at this point, I'm going to say thank you for watching. Jeremy, again, thank you. Producer Sue, thank you for producing for us. And everybody have a great day.